Welcome, Saturday. Well, it's Saturday for you, and you're tuned in as we're getting a very early start on production here for a couple of reasons. So hopefully you're hanging out, and those of you that were in the last morning video that we were doing here at the show, the Collector's Radio. Also, we got an unbagging, if you will, sometimes unboxing. This time it's a bag. Those of you that tuned in last time, you already know what we're going to do there. So we appreciate that. We're going to go ahead and read your comments. Again, if your comment was not read, that means that either you commented after the fact that we done production on this, or for some reason it got held, or it just, you know, a little too rated R for what we do here at the Family Friendly Show. So you'll have to excuse the rumbling sounds out there as it is as we approach through the middle of this atrocious summer that we've got out here, that we've been hitting record highs of the heat wave, if you will. So but it is the monsoon season right now, so we're definitely getting some night storms, I guess you could say, so thunders and all that. Anyway, let's go ahead and read some of the comments. I got this one here that this is from the Gun Enthusiast. Man, awesome stuff. So this is kind of our this kind of goes back with us, because he and I, we started our channels like pretty much the same time. I think he was actually before me, but he had done a little bit in the beginning of one of his videos that I really loved. And the guy is just such a top-notch guy. He just you know, I still watch his videos that he's doing his shorts. But he says, "Great show, brother. I know exactly what video you're talking about. I remember I didn't have good lighting, and as you know, only other creators can definitely you know, understand the struggles of that. As I could see the shadow on the video of whatever that was there, and it was also so close to me, I got so mad. I pushed it down and knocked it down. I think I said, 'Get this out of here,' or 'Get this out of the way.' Good times, brother." Yeah. That was really funny. There was in the beginning of one of his videos, and it was, "Get this out of the way." I'm glad that, and that's really cool, because it shows a sense of humor to be able to just leave that kind of stuff in there and laugh about it. And in the end, that's what it is. It's just, you know, just laugh as we go along, and we do this thing. And I think most of us smaller channels like what we got going on here, we're just fortunate that, you know, we ended up with an audience doing this kind of stuff, and the subscribers that are still here and watching these kind of ridiculous videos and stuff and episodes that we're doing. So anyway, definitely thank you. I appreciate everybody who's subscribed and has continued watching. You know, after 9 years, we may not be you know, thousands upon, you know, millions of views or anything like that, but we definitely you know, we definitely stuck around, and I think a lot of us have. There's a lot of good channels that are still there and have gone away. You know, I was just thinking about the other day, thinking about PR Veteran. You know, he's another great channel that I don't see much content from, you know, anymore. All right, Danger Man, thanks for sharing your experience with 1911s. I think it's like anything else, and the more you experience you have with something, the more you can appreciate the higher end models. Yes, that is exactly what actually my buddy and I were talking about this, and I said to him, you know, I'm glad that I waited as long as I did, and owned quite a few, and had bought and sold and traded out a lot of 1911s over the time before I actually made leaps to say, I'm going to buy that Wilson Combat, you know, Hackathorn Special or whatever it may be. So nice thing about 1911s is that even the cheapest ones are usually very good. You can own one and enjoy without breaking the bank, but you can also, as you know, but as you own a Lexus, you can never never see yourself buying a Toyota again. Yeah, there is some truth to that, absolutely. As somebody that owns a couple higher end ones myself, still, like I've said it many times before, one of my favorite ones to still take out and really enjoy is this Springfield Armory lightweight Commander 9mm. You know, it's basically it's under $1,000 1911. It's still one of my favorites for certain. You know, but yeah, you do have an appreciation. You understand that this will never be, you know, a Wilson Combat or such, or Les Bear. So, but it is. You just kind of know that going in. All right, Shane. Good morning. It's always nice to see that custom 22 1911 Kimber para ordnance and probably everything else under the sun. That looks like a total delight to spend the afternoon shooting. It is. The cobbled togetherness of it is awesome, and what a great way to use a perfectly good polymer mainspring housing. Yeah. You know, having a box of those, as I've over the years of changing them out, they usually came on Colts. I would change them out, and I would always say, I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but I saved them in a box. Later, I found, you know what, that's a perfect place for it, is trying to make that lower half of that 1911 as light as it can be. And in fact, that is actually what's on my Ronin as well. That's the Springfield here, the lightweight. That is a polymer mainspring housing. That's why it's actually a flat one, not an arch, because I usually prefer the arch mainspring housing. That's kind of where I'm at with a lot of that. But yeah, it made this actually a lot lighter weight and everything. You can even take it as far as taking and getting a aluminum grip safety on it. You know, so there's that option too that you could do, which I actually been kind of looking into that myself, because I need to fit a grip safety to that 22. That's actually I want a fitted grip safety that I'm gonna kind of like, rather than the semi-fitted ones or whatnot. So, all right, Slim Fire, morning JW, another great talk and good info on the 1911s. Picked up the Les Bear for my FFL this week. It is awesome. It came with two very nice stainless mags that look well built. I'm like you, I only use Wilson Combat mags, so I see I'll see how these work. This is the first 1911. I had a hard time getting a slide back. Yes, Les Bear is known for that hard fit. So that is the cool factor of the Les Bear ones, is because they're hard fit, and so you really got to kind of, you know, work it to get it to go. But you know, again, welcome to that custom club, man. I tell you, when you have a custom 1911, you really do realize there is none like a custom build like that. Going to the range soon, to be looking forward to the video on a new tool to remove the extractor. Love your channel and thanks for the video, Slim. Yes, that's what we have here. We got the tool, so we're going to open it. I haven't even opened it. I don't even know what it looks like. I saved it for the radio show right here, the Collector's Radio. So I saved it specifically for that. You know, because looking back at the tool that I actually made to try to push those out, I'm hoping this is going to, we'll see how that answers that problem. All right, Jerry, fantastic 22 LR 1911. I have a Citadel 9mm 1911 government. It shoots real well for the price point. I use Chip McCormick 10-round mags. Nothing wrong with that. I do believe actually Wilson now owns those Chip McCormick magazines. So that's kind of interesting. I don't understand. I don't know why he did that. I've always that's interesting that he did, though. That he went ahead and bought that company, or now owns that magazine. All right, Harrison Mantooth. Good morning. I definitely be watching the video on the extractor tool, ejector tool. It's the extractor, actually. In the years I've had my Colts 1911 9mm, I've never had an issue with the ejection, but problems could arise. I definitely want to buy one of these tools. That's what I've been thinking is, you know what, and it was somebody that talked about that. It was another comment that somebody directed me towards those, because I was making a video and talking about this stuff after. It was one of the videos we did after coming back from a range day that was talking about that. Warren, thanks for answering 22 questions, and thank you for another great 1911 chat. the more I watch you and Beretta 9mm, the more I learn about my favorite pistol. Well, thank you. We appreciate that. And, you know, I don't know everything, and I certainly never claim to know everything. I'm not one of those tactical guys. I'm not one of those guys that worry about, well, that's not the proper terminology and all that. And, you know, like I would call him the Mr. Wikipedia, or back when I worked at Sports Authority with a friend of mine named Ernie, we used to call those guys the guys that would sit in the car and read Guns and Ammo magazines real quick to come in there and try to school the guy at the gun counter or something, you know. It's ridiculousness. I mean, I just don't take things very seriously. You know, that's just too much time spent on that. All right. Where were we with your comments? If you do get here to be sure to look me up. Yes, Australia. Love to go there. Also, what are your thoughts on 38 Super, and how does it compare to 9mm or 45 with recoil and feeding? What are your thoughts on Nighthawk Custom? Just a side note, I have shot a GSG, Ruger 2245 CZ 75 Shadow Blue, and Walther PBQ. All right. My thoughts on 38 Super was, first of all, the cost. I always look at cost of ammo. Says a guy that shot 45 for a long time. But I've always hand-loaded that. Now, with 38 Super, I'm definitely not opposed to it, but I do know it was kind of like, for me, it's like, I kind of stick with the 9mm. If I want a hopped up 9, you can always shoot 9mm plus P, and if you really want to jet them out there, plus P plus. But to me, that kind of, I don't know, I kind of get to the point where I'm like, I would actually probably buy a 10mm before I bought a 38 Super. But 38 Super, I know it kind of goes back a ways. It's got kind of a cool history, if you will. But I never got into one. I never bought one. I've shot a couple of them. The ammo, from the people that I know that own them, they were always kind of going through the power factor of the ammo. They're always trying to get a hotter ammo, and a lot of guys that I know that start shooting them were hand loading for them. It is a super smooth shooting 1911. To me, it was shot smoother than a 45. I kind of, I favor the 9mm now these days more than anything. I rarely shoot the 45, and so I know some people are already like spitting their coffee up and unsubscribing from the channel. But yeah, that is true. But I mean, not opposed to it. I actually had an opportunity to buy one not too long ago. I just never did. But yeah, I would say for me, it's availability. How it's, I don't see a whole lot of 38 Super everywhere. And then even brass, I don't like, with something, whenever it's dealing with a semi-auto and you're chucking brass all over the place, I always kind of a little worry about how available is that brass, how expensive is that brass. That's the nice thing about shooting anything like 45 9mm. You can pretty much go to any shooting range or a spot out in the middle of nowhere and pretty much look underground where people have been constantly shooting and pretty much pick up 9 and 45 brass all day long as far as a semi-auto. Now, like when I get into my stuff like 38 or 38 40, but that's in a revolver. That's not chucking that brass all over the place, losing it or whatnot. So there is, that's the way I look at it, at least for me. So my thoughts on Nighthawk Custom. I've never handled one, so I can't really speak for that. I do know they're down there in the same area as Wilson Combat is, and from what I read, if I read it correctly, those guys that started Nighthawk Custom actually used to work for Wilson Combat. I don't know, you could look at it in many ways on that aspect of it. So their whole claim to fame thing is that one gunsmith builds your gun and your gun wasn't, assembly line built or whatever. I wouldn't say, I think it's unfair to say that companies like Les Bear or, Wilson Combat is an assembly line gun. It's not. Your gun is being hand fitted by the best. There's a guy that You know, like let's take Les Bear for instance. There's a guy at Les Bear Customs that does checkering. That's all he does. So there is something to be said that says, okay, that's what he's best at. That's probably the guy you want checkering your gun. Not necessarily maybe he's, I mean, maybe he is good or whatever at fitting the slide to frame, but he's the checkering guy. So they sent your gun to get done by the best. And then this guy over here, he specializes in slide to frame. You know, hey, let's send it over there. It's kind of like going and seeing a doctor specialist. God forbid you have something wrong with your shoulder or your heart. You know, you're going to go to a heart doctor. You're going to go to a shoulder doctor. At least, you know, that's the way you can look at it too. But, you know, no shade thrown at them. They're just another one of those custom high-end companies. Everybody kind of, you know, whatever your flavor might be or your choice of the company. I kind of chose Wilson's because of all the books that I read of his and everything. And what I really like about Wilson is he's a self-made man. He did this not to make money. He did it because out of necessity. He wanted a better 1911, and so that's kind of why he did it. He was a watchmaker, or repairing watches and stuff like that. So, all right, CZ 9mm USA. Mad respect for you. Keep up the terrific work, and always keep your wonderful personality fun to watch. I appreciate that, you guys. That's awesome of you guys to do say something like that. That's really kind words. That's my friends over there, Beretta 9mm USA, or their other channel, CZ 9mm. And then they got another movie channel that's going up, my fellow left-handed shooter over there. He's got that going on, and then they got their tools, their tool channel, Legion of Tools. All right, Jeffrey, coffee in hand this morning. Great video, interesting with the 22, with a 22 or version. Yeah. All right, and Snowy Rider, I see a Hackathorn special in your video pick. You'll have to stay tuned to next week. We'll probably talk more about that. All right, Squib, is the YouTube numbering system Mark of the Beast? Yeah, I don't care for the numbers getting added to the channel name and comments. Don't know what that's about. Weird stuff. All right, we got the comments read, and some of you that are probably going 17 minutes and 30 seconds, and we haven't even, what have we, so that's what we do here at Collectors Radio, where it's a hangout. We drink coffee and we talk about cool stuff. So, okay. We got the tool. Figure out which end to open, right? All right. So I have not opened this. This is from Dawson Precision. That's who this is from. That's who I got this from. So again, it was a comment that led to this, that somebody said, hey, by the way, do you know they make an extractor removal tool? I said, no, but I want to look into it. And how much was it? The tool itself was $14.95 and the shipping was $4.25, so you're at a $20 investment with this tool. Let's see how it handles here. This is what it comes in. Let's make sure there's nothing else in there. Okay, there it is, in a little baggie. And I'll be doing an actual standalone video on this, but those of you that all of you guys that everybody that and when I say that, guys or whatever, I mean there's a lot of females that watch this or whatnot. Everybody's always we're just a big hangout group here. So all right, now it is marked on the tool. It is marked 45, 9mm, 38 Super, etc. I don't know, because when I was ordering it, I said, well, I want to make sure which one I'm getting here. I never had issues with the 45 removing the extractor. I never had an issue with that. So I don't know. I guess maybe, so it looks like you got one side for 45 ACP and the other side says 9mm 38 Super. You can see the top of it. It's got these little beveled edges there. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the instruction card here. Let's make sure that other piece of paper I just dropped on the ground is not important. This product is intended to be installed and safety checked by a professional, competent gunsmith. You're responsible for the blah blah blah. They're basically saying if you damage your stuff or blow your hand off, we're not responsible. All right, 1911 extractor removal tools instruction. Before installing, unload your pistol. Verify chamber is empty. Pull the slide back, look into the chamber, make sure there's not a bullet in the chamber or round of ammunition, whatever, if you want to get technical. Okay, remove the slide from the frame, remove the barrel, guide rod, spring, blah, 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 plug, depress firing pin, and slide down in front. Okay, so obviously, remove your firing pin and back, and firing pin retaining plate. Push the side of the extractor removal tool that matches the specific caliber of the pistol. Here we go. This is important. Into the breech face. This will spring the extractor hook to a position that allows it to slip past the extractor hole. The extractor removal tool has a side for 38 Super, 40 Smith & Wesson 9mm, and a side for 45 ACP. A specific caliber engraving should be facing the breech face. Use a screwdriver to pry the extractor up with a tip on the back. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and try this. We'll take a look. Like the instructions say, should be nothing in there, right? Okay. Now, of course, this is my 9mm because that's why I bought this thing. This baby is a little tight. That's the other thing too is how tight this Springfield has remained with all that, because of how much shooting I've done with it actually. Okay, you know what? And something I totally forgot while we're doing this video that I forgot to grab, which is a little pin deal to pop the firing pin out. So I had to grab my punch here. All right. So what I do is I actually push that little thing down there and I kind of move it halfway through, because I don't want to send this thing into orbit or send it up into my face. So I aim it down and just kind of slide that off. And that's the back blade they're talking about, whatever. Somebody said, oh, it's not a back blade, it's a firing pin retaining plate or whatever. Tomato, whatever. Everybody knows what we're talking about here. Okay, so there's that. So here it is. Okay, so obviously, okay, so it's got this rounded edge. I'm trying to look at this and try to see. Again, let me see what it says here. It says the tool has a side for 38. So the specific caliber engraving should be facing the breech face. You know, they really don't tell you. Just okay. Maybe it's that way. Bear with me, people. We're just trying to figure this tool out. I don't know if that's got it or not. So it's in there. I've got the side that says 9mm facing this way, so it's facing the breech of the thing. It is wedged itself between the extractor and that in there. Of course, you guys are learning right there with me, so I've got it like that. Let's take this. This is brass, by the way. Okay. I see why they say to use a screwdriver. Okay, so, okay. All right. Interesting. All right, so from what I understand, the way this thing works is you've got this side that you'll see here that's beveled off. And that's what's wedging itself between. It's basically using that, and as it goes up, it's pushing this out of the way. So it's doing this number here, and it's getting that out of the way. It actually did, I will say this, it did make removing that a whole lot easier than messing with it in any other way that I was messing with it before. Now putting them back is a whole nother story, isn't it? I've never really had an issue putting them back. There it goes. You know, the whole point was to avoid using any kind of metal, you know, getting in there with metal stuff and everything. Now, when I put mine back, I take my the back plate thing here, and I push it in there to try to get it to where, I don't know if it's got to go up or down. No, it's got to go up. So, and I make sure it can slide back in there like that before I start the whole firing pin and putting the firing pin back in there, because I don't want to be fiddling around with that while putting this back in there. So, all right, let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to get it started here, just like that, and use this to push this down. You can see why keeping your hand over this stuff I don't know why it takes that's the only thing, you know, that I would say the downfall of the 9mm 1911 is it is a little bit more involved in taking the firing pin and this out. So what do I think of this tool? I will say this, it does make it easier. It does make it easier than trying to wedge this in there and try to push it through. It did make it easier because all it did was it just wedges itself between there, and you're basically pushing it up between there. So it does have a it's roughly machined. It's not very it's actually it almost looks like it's a casting of some sort, but it's rough. It is kind of rough on the finish on it. So I don't know, you know, if it, but it is metal. Maybe if it was made out of I don't know, you almost maybe if it was made out of brass, but I think it was worth checking out. I will continue to mess with this thing and continue to give you an update on it. I'm gonna, once I mess with it a little bit more, and then I will make an actual video of it, featuring it and everything. So, but yeah, interesting. It's very interesting because basically where it says 9mm right there, that's the part you want facing in the frame. It's a little bit misleading because when I looked at the picture of them using it, it looked like this. That's why I started to do that. It looked like this, where they were pushing it that way. So that's kind of what made me kind of go, what? How does that work? But it's not. And then when it says facing the breech face, so you take the spot, whatever numbers that you want it, and then you stick it up through there, and that's the way it works. And it kind of, what it does is it kind of wedges itself in there and moves the extractor over, and by doing that it allows you to take the screwdriver or whatnot to go in from the back and pry it up and then extract it out. So pretty cool. You know, somebody obviously put thought into that without a doubt. I'm glad it's I think it's priced right. Let's put it that way. I think Dawson Precision priced this right. I think if they were charging any more for it, I think like if this thing was like $25 or something, I'd say forget it. I don't know if I don't know if I'd want to do that, but I think it's priced right. See, again, the picture is weird. You see it there. It like I said, it looks like it's going vertical, but it's just going straight in. So interesting enough. I'm gonna save this. I'll do a video of it with it. Where we talk about it, but you know, I'm not dissatisfied with it, that's for sure. I will say, interesting little piece. Like I said, $20 investment. That's where you're at if you want to go ahead and kind of jump into that. So that's where we're at. I'm not dissatisfied with it. It did make doing that a lot easier, and I will say that it did make removing that extractor a little bit easier. So I think I will, you know, definitely have a little bit more practice with it before I kind of do a full length video with it, featuring it and everything close up. But you guys get to see it right here on the Collector's Radio, first hand and first, right? All right. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.